Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Dear students, Assalamu alaikum and welcome back to Plant Systematics class. We were discussing family Cruciferae or Brassicaceae, and in the previous videos we discussed its vegetative characters, and now we start its floral or reproductive characters. So floral characters of family Brassicaceae. Starting with inflorescence. Inflorescence, as you know, it is a cluster of flowers, and the inflorescence found in family Brassicaceae is racemose. Racemose is a kind of inflorescence or is a kind of inflorescence in which the flowers arise laterally, and it is a simple inflorescence. Racemose and cymose are two basic or broad categories of inflorescence. So racemose is a simple inflorescence in which the flowers arise acropitally or in acrobital succession. Arise on the, let's complete the sentence, arise on the floral axis or the peduncle of the inflorescence, acrobital succession. Now, what is acrobital succession? It is a basic terminology used in botany and in taxonomy, and that is suppose this is the main axis or the flowering axis, floral axis, peduncle, whatever the case might be, and we have flowers with older flowers towards the base and younger flowers towards the apex. So as you can see in this case, these are older flowers. They were born first, and these are the younger flowers, and at the very top you will find floral buds. So this is acrobital succession, and this is a very basic pattern or structure of a racemose inflorescence. So in the family Brassicaceae, the inflorescence is racemose. Racemose is the most common type of inflorescence in family Brassicaceae, but it is not the only one. There are various variations of the racemose inflorescence. This is what we call this one typical raceme. So this is a typical raceme or typical racemose inflorescence. The other varieties of the racemose inflorescence are corymb, whatever you would like to pronunciate it. Now in case of corymb, what happens that the pedicels of the older flowers, they are longer, and the pedicels of the younger flowers are shorter. So what happens that all the flowers, they come to lie at the same plane. So this is what we call corymb. These are older flowers, as you can see, these are older flowers, and these are younger. Now all the flowers, they are lying almost at the same plane. This is what we call corymb inflorescence. This is also found in family Brassicaceae. And the other variety, which is a mixture of the two, is known as Corymbose raceme. In corymbose raceme, the inflorescence is corym in the beginning. So let's draw it once more. So these are older flowers and these are the younger ones. Now what happens that this floral axis or the peduncle of the inflorescence, it elongates, so the flowers they do not lie at the same plane. So what does it mean? Corymbose raceme is corym in the beginning, but becomes typical raceme due to elongation of the peduncle. So this is, so if this axis, the peduncle, the floral axis, if it elongates, so what will happen that these flowers won't lie at the same plane, they will be separated or they will get apart. So what will happen that a situation something like this would arise. So now since the floral axis or the peduncle has elongated, so what happens that the flowers they don't lie at the same plane. Now they are separated and the inflorescence has turned into a raceme, a typical raceme. So this was corym in the beginning, but later on it becomes typical raceme due to the elongation of the floral axis or the peduncle. So this was the discussion of the inflorescence. So we have seen that it is basically racemose inflorescence, and these are the varieties of the racemose inflorescence. Typical raceme, older flowers towards the base, younger flowers towards the apex in acrobital succession. Corym, when the pedicels of the older flowers are longer than the younger flowers, so that all the flowers they appear to lie at the same or on the same plane. Corymbose raceme, it is a mixture of the two. It is corym in the beginning when the flowers have longer pedicel, the older flowers, and the younger have shorter pedicels, they lie at the same plane. But when the floral axis or the peduncle of the inflorescence, it elongates, so the flower they now don't lie at the same plane, they get apart, they are separated, and the inflorescence turns into a typical raceme or racemose inflorescence. We haven't given the examples as far as the raceme is concerned. It is very common. Brassica is a very common example of it. Corym, a very common ornamental plant, Iberus amara. So it has corym inflorescence, and corymbose raceme is also found in Brassica when the flowers in the beginning they lie at the same plane, but the floral axis of the inflorescence it elongates and brings the flower at a distance, and the inflorescence turns into a typical raceme. Next is the flower itself. The flower of the family Brassicaceae is pedicellate. So it has a pedicel. Flower with a stalk is known as pedicellate. So this is pedicellate flower with the stalk. So this is its pedicel. So the flower is known as pedicellate. The flower is ebracteate. The flowers on the floral axis they usually arise in the axil of a leaf. Now this is stem or branch or floral axis, and this is a short leaf, small leaf, and a flower is arising in its axil. So this leaf is known as bract. and the flower is said to be bracteate. That is, bract is present. But when the bract is absent, it is said to be ebracteate, no bract. So without bract. That is, the subtending leaf is absent, the bract is absent. So without bract, as we have just drawn this one, there is no bract at the base of the flower, so it is ebracteate. So this particular flower is ebracteate. It is bisexual. It contains both the stamens as well as the carpels, both the male and the female reproductive parts. Stamens and carpels are present, so it is bisexual. It is complete and complete both both calyx and corolla are present. Both calyx and corolla, they are present, so it is complete. Complete is usually referred to in terms of calyx and corolla, although in one of the previous videos I told you that all the floral parts are present, but actually this complete term refers to mostly calyx and corolla. When both are present, the flower is said to be complete. So it is complete, it is actinomorphic, it has radial symmetry, and radial symmetry is the one in which a flower can be cut into two equal parts from any plane. Now this particular flower has a radial symmetry. So if you cut it in any plane, you will cut it into two equal parts. So this is actinomorphic flower. However, there are cases, that is, rarely we have zygomorphic flowers as well. So rarely we find zygomorphic flower. So zygomorphic flowers are also present in family Brassicaceae, and one of them is, we have just given the example of Iberus. So Iberus is zygomorphic. The flower is hypogynous. Hypogynous, this is the insertion of the floral leaves on the thalamus. So what is hypogynous? We have already drawn it. Let's do it once more. So this is the thalamus. This is thalamus, the terminal part of the pedicel. Thalamus, and on the thalamus, these are the various floral parts growing, and we know that the first whorl is the calyx, and then we have corolla, and then we have androecium, the stamens, and in the center we have carpel. So all the floral parts, they are inserted below the ovary. As you can see, they are below the ovary, and ovary is at the top. So such a flower is said to be hypogynous. Hypo, below, gynoecium. So the floral parts are inserted below the gynoecium, as you can see in this diagram, simple diagram. Such a condition is known as hypogynous, and ovary is said to be superior. Floral parts inserted on the thalamus below the ovary. So they are below the ovary, and ovary is at the top of the thalamus. So such a flower is known as hypogynous. So in fact almost all the flowers in family Brassicaceae are hypogynous. Tetramerous. In the previous family Apiaceae, we saw that the flowers were pentamerous. Now we have tetramerous. So tetramerous, 4 or multiple of 4. So 4 sepals and 4 petals, but this pattern is not followed in all the whorls. Anyway, we usually call it tetramerous. So this was the discussion of the flower. So in this video we have discussed the inflorescence and the flower of family Brassicaceae. In the next video, inshallah, we are going to discuss its floral parts, calyx, corolla, androecium, and gynoecium. So thanks for watching and see you in the next video.